He'll just be here. Right? Right, everybody? Hello? Attack speed enjoyers first. What up, attack speed enjoyer? Enjoyed that attack speed. Okay, I'm gonna delete this one. There we go. So that I don't have to keep scrolling past that. Then we have Germany versus France. Or Francais. Okay, I'm just getting some stuff set up while people gather. There's the desktop. We have our contestants. Flower, the green one, Inticity, Ash, and Tretch versus Curio, Salinator, Catholic Alcoholic, Melkor, and the Phoenix King. What up, Leodoro, with the 99 euro cents? Where's the dislike button? Dead. All right, most people should be catching up because we just did a stream right before this one and threw it into this one. Is the audio doubled for everyone? Doubled. No. Yeah, that would be very interested for the answers to the Speedy Skeevy's questions if the audio is doubled. Shouldn't be. Who's Melkor? Some guy. Okay, we're gonna get started. Yeah, so if you weren't just a part of the other stream or you've clicked on the VOD of this and you don't know what's going on, this is the World Cup. We are currently gonna cast Germany versus France. We just did Netherlands versus CB/Russia. So we're getting another matchup here. We'll see who goes on to fight the Netherlands. Here is the list for today. We have a mix of conquest, domination, land battle games. It is a 5 players versus 5 players. All 5 games will be cast no matter what, even if the score is already decided. 5-0, 4-1, doesn't matter, we'll cast them all. At the top, you see 2 factions. You see Norska and Slaanesh. France said no Slaanesh today. Germany said no Norska today. Neither side can play those factions. On each side, you can only play a faction once. So Flower on the right-hand side picks greenskins. The green one can't pick greenskins. Inticity also can't. Ash also can't. So you will see at least 5 different factions today, though I suspect the players did use more than that. Cool, cool. All right, now I need to go find these games. Okay, they're labeled like this. So how many factions do we get today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I believe we get 9. I think I only saw 1 repeat in there. Let's get started with Curio versus Flower. Warhammer France is just as good as Football France. I just heard words and then the stream ended. What up, Doomsage? Yeah. All right, back to Lizardmen versus Wood Elves. It's the game we started the last stream with, and we'll start this one with, apparently, though different builds, because now we have Orion. On the side of Flower and the Wood Elves, we do have Glade Riders with Hagbane tips, Glade Riders regular, Orion, a Branch Wraith with Earthblood and Melkots, then a front line of Dryads and Eternal Guard. Not much there that is unusual. Double Treekin is a bit strange, and some Glade Guard. On the other side for Curio and the German forces. Cold One Spear Riders, Skink Cohorts, front lines, Red Crested Skinks also in the front lines, more Feral Cold Ones. Then we have the Umbral-Tide Salamander Hunting Pack ROR, a Slan of Light with Shem's Burning Gaze, Net, and then Faw's Protection. Interesting. So if there was a Durthu, he would get netted in front of anti-large fire-breathing salamanders, but there is no Durthu. Yeah. Golden Rider's moving up, but the skirmish cab doing decent damage to them as Orion's using his bound little spells. Hawk's Talon and the Hounds of Orion to harass the skinks in the front line, doing decent damage to them as they try and get in here. But the Wood Elves really are lacking in melee prowess in this build. With the Treekin taking up funds and Orion taking up funds, if the skinks can really get in here and saturate, they could disrupt the archers pretty easily. As we're going to see here already, some skink cohorts have snuck through for Curio, and Flower quickly responds with his Treekin. Though the Cold One Riders seem to be having a tough time deciding what to do about this. This build is a little compact for what they wanted, so some of them are just getting skirmished out. Other ones are kind of sitting on their hands, wondering what to do. And they do need to get active if they're going to win. Salamanders decided their target should be the Treekin. Still weak to fire, still large targets, even though they're not Durthu. And with their impressively high armor and melee defense, it is important that you take them out with ranged fire because skink cohorts are just not going to be able to do it. Treekin pushing back feral cold ones as more lizardmen opt into the fight. Orion is fighting like mad to make sure that these skinks all die in the name of the wild hunt. And we still have skirmish cab on the sides just picking things off. We'll see if they continue to chase things afterwards. As a Shem's Burning Gaze goes for the skirmish cab. Wow. Not a target I expected from the Slan, but I guess he's just like, they're out in the open where I can deal with them. This is what I was worried about, though, when I said the infantry, the Wood Elves, are just a bit outmatched. Like, they're all about to rout already, leaving behind Treekin and Orion. But archers are already fleeing. Treekin are pretty damaged from the Umbral Tide. Dryads are routing. So I'm getting a little concerned about that as the Branch Wraith decides to distract the Umbral Tide with her flesh. They also do fire damage in melee, and she is weak to fire as a branch-based person. So she's not going to love fighting the Salamanders. What would love to fight the Salamanders would be all four of these skirmish cav. They have something to say about it. And they shall, as they start to come in. Cold and Spear Riders decide to fight the Branch Wraith instead of peeling because there's 4 Spear Riders and there's only one of them. So they would have a very difficult time peeling. The Salamanders are going to try and find safety in the enemy backline, pulling the old switcheroo of who spawned where. And still more Cold One Spear Riders just focusing on chasing down other units than peeling for the Salamander hunting pack. But it seems like it'll maybe work out as the Glade Riders get caught up on a couple things. Bounce power is very even. I personally favor the Lizards right now, but I'm prepared to be wrong. Ooh, that could be a big source of wrongness. The Slan Mage Priest is now the target of Orion, and if Orion kills the Slan, that's a big deal. Losing your Lord and Caster and such a supportive presence as the Slan with his various leadership buffs, his damage resist aura, there's just a lot that you need the Slan for. So Orion trying to hunt him down, trying to push through immeasurable amounts of skinks to keep after that Slan. This is not a life Slan of any kind. There's no healing. He's just getting poked down by Orion for realsies. We need one of these Cold One Riders to come in and sacrifice their bodies for the Slan because you need mass to stop Orion. Infantry can't do it. He is going to use a net. He's going to take a quick rear charge from Orion, but there's the net, locking him in place as some Cold Ones charge in. The Salamander hunting packs looking to shoot at Orion now, but their Cold Ones just got in the way, so you're either going to do horrendous friendly fire or miss. Got a little bit of damage on Orion. A little bit of damage all over the place, though. Bounce power still 50-50. Neither side has captured the capture point, and Flower still has 4 healthy skirmish cav. Don't have the most ammunition. They are pretty healthy. And as the game gets later and later and their HP bars dip, it is going to be nice to have those light cavalry to just chase Lizardmen off the map while Orion bumps and grinds and presumably heals himself up with his Cloak of Isha. Hounds of Orion clearing out all of the infantry and feral cold ones that locked him in place mere moments before. The Slan throws a Shems at the Treekin, and the Salamanders are lining up to shoot at. It looks like Orion. How much damage is he going to take? He will start healing once he takes enough damage. Owie. That was a lot of damage. Ooh, and he's going to get netted. And he's going to get netted. Is Curio going to finish it off? He's trying to. He's giving them attack orders, but for some reason the Salamanders are walking into melee because they're stupid, dumb idiots. Orion's healing up, and the net is wearing off. The Treekin getting away, and the Salamanders with the ranged unit jank we've all come to know and hate and definitely hate. I can't say love. I cannot. It's impossible. The ranged unit jank of Warhammer 3, the Salamanders waddle into melee for no reason and let Orion escape. Now Thaw's protection is cast on the salamanders while a Shem's Burning Gaze was thrown after Orion, who is still slowly healing up. That bastard. Velociraptors are not going to let him go. This is the Lizardmen's chance to win the game. Knock out Orion before he keeps healing up, and then these pathetic skirmish cav can't do enough. They can't stop you. You're the Lizardmen. The only one that can stop you is Orion. Kill him. Kill his ass. Go, Velociraptors. Nip him. Nip him in the buns. He's not taking that much damage, however, because he is Orion. He is a fucking badass, and those are just feral cold ones. So, Salamander hunting pack desperately trying to get online so they can shoot Orion once or twice more. The Slann is dodging as best he can with only 300 HP. There goes the Shem's Burning Gaze through the lines into Orion, down to 400 HP. And just like that, he's healing up. But the Branch Wraith finds the Slann, 70 HP. He's going down. He's knocked out of his chair. He's teleported to another dimension. And the Lizardmen lose their lord. Meanwhile, the Wood Elves, the fucking, from the early 2000s and late 90s, that troll song is fucking playing because Orion just won't die. He's running around. Everything is going perfectly according to plan for the Wood Elves. Because technically I did say the skirmish cap would chase off low leadership shit while Orion just tanks stuff. I didn't think it'd get this close to him dying, but technically everything's going according to plan. The balance of power shifts heavily against the Lizardmen. It was just in their favor mere moments ago. Rear charge in from the Cold Wind Riders, but the Glade Riders with their Hagbane tips are going to get away significantly faster. I mean, they're even rear charging these guys. The Lizardmen are just in so much trouble. The Salamander hunting pack are going to route balance power shifts heavily against the Lizardmen for the first time. And that looks to just be GG. What up, Tactical Lich? How you doing? Even things without mass act like they do, hummus. If the humble photon can push on a solar sail. Okay, Doomsage. Okay, all right. Wow, we robbed. It was close. It was not enough. Curio. Spelled different, but from the way he's talking, it sounds like he is the Curio from the game. Very, very close game. If those salamanders hadn't just wandered into melee instead of firing another volley, they would have killed him. Happy to be back, Lich. Happy to be back. Eternal Guard did fine. Dryads did okay. Blade Guard did okay, but really it was the Glade Riders and Orion that got most of the value. Jeez. Let's go over to the little blocker. This thing, scroll up, get this, grab this, green thing. And that gives France and Flower the win. Curio gets the red X of fate. On to game 2. Salinator in the green one. There's no time to mourn, just time to scorn. Sure. Whatever. Salinator in the green one. Salinator on the Vampire Counts versus Kislev in what looks to be a pretty degenerate nonsense bullshit blob. I'm unimpressed. I am angry. I am enraged. That is an Elemental Bear ROR, Mother Ostankia, Patriarch for some healing, a shit ton of Zargard with great weapons, and then some skirmish cav. New stream, who dis? Yo, Pope, Patty. You know who this is. So, we have Blood Knights with Lances, Dire Pack, the Dire Wolves ROR with more anti-large. We have Manfred von Karstein on his Dragon with Purple Sun, Spirit Leech, Raised Dead, and Invocation to Heck. Then some Vargeists, a Corpse Cart with Balefire, then Crypt Horrors, Zombies, and Skeleton Warriors, with double Banshee as well. On the other side, 4 Kislev, 4 Horse Archers, the Frozen Heart of Winter, Elemental Bear, ROR, 3 Zargard with great weapons, one of which is Daz's Hearthblades, and then 3 Kislevite Warriors, a Patriarch with AoE healing, and then I saw Mother Ostankia in the loading screen, though I don't see her right now. There she is. She brought Gulias for healing and the Vengeance of Spirits, which is kind of like Flock of Doom, kind of like Traderkin. Green one hasn't been playing much recently. He did soft retire and came back for this event. This feels like a very old school anti-vampire counts build, and I'm worried it's not going to work because some things have changed in anti-blobbing technology. For one thing, Purple Sun is good now, so his infantry are probably in grave danger. And then also double Banshees or double Vikings are both pretty good at killing large targets. Heart of Winter isn't as good of a spell as it used to be. Mother Ostankia has been nerfed several times, so her healing isn't as good as it used to be. Patriarch's been nerfed several times, so his healing's not as good as it used to be. I'm worried this is some old tech. We'll see. Because, like, this used to beat vampire counts pretty handedly. You know, 8 years ago. Frozen Heart of Winter going to opt back into the fight. It does have magic damage, so these Banshees have to watch out a little bit. They're much better at poking down, like, I don't know, Warbear Riders and such. There comes the Bound Heart of Winter spell. No, it's the Goliaths, but something is getting summoned directly under him. It's the Purple Sun we're worried about, as it's just tearing through the Hearthblade. Hearthblades, I got that right. Though, bad RNG for the vampire counts, it does path out of them pretty quickly, and then didn't come back in, so that's a little unlucky, but they're still feeling okay. Already, Kislev Warriors are having their Buyer Blood procced. The Frozen Heart of Winter is now getting 3v1'd by the Double Banshees and Manfred. Vargeists are starting to cycle charge in. Skeleton Warriors getting fed slowly into the blender. And you can see, this is good vampire counts play. He's not just mobbing all of his infantry in at the same time to all get hit with the same spells and all get tired at the same time. He's just waiting. He knows the zombies have to die first before the skeletons are even going to be useful. So he's just leaving the second round back, so he will have infantry when he needs to charge back in. And his breath attacks aren't focused on the Frozen Heart of Winter. They're focused on the infantry. So really just trying to take those guys out. He knows the Frozen Heart of Winter is going to get a lot of healing from the Patriarch and Mother Ostankia. And yeah, he's even focusing the Patriarch. This is such good gameplay from the vampire counts. Targeting all the right things. You see the Frozen Heart of Winter, and it's just this giant damage sink that's like begging you to focus on it. But he's like, all right, take out the healing first, take out the infantry first. In the hyper late game, that thing is going to be all alone versus a horde of vampire counts. And I can just cycle charge it to death. Blood Knights charge in on the Kislev Warriors with Vargeist help, seeing if they still have Buyer Blood. Those guys do not. The Zargard might. And the Skirmish Cav still running around, still shooting, but the Dire Pack keeping them a little honest, and occasionally Salinator is throwing some Skeleton Warriors at them, just to be annoying. Terror grips the heart of some of these Zargard, and something is getting cast. This is the Bound Frozen Heart of Winter, I believe. Yes, the Bound Heart of Winter comes out. Mother of Stank is taking a lot of damage from Manfred, however. He is just getting bite after bite onto her booty, and she does need to back off. Silic's Lullaby is going to give her a bit of a heal, but Blood Knights are cutting off her escape potentially. And she does not want to get isolated against the Blood Knight. She needs to stay in her infantry, but since Manfred and the boys have been focusing the infantry so well, she doesn't have that many infantry to hide in. But now the Blood Knights have found her. Mother of Stink is going to take a good amount of damage. Only 32 melee defense for her, but the Blood Knights actually aren't focusing on her. They get retreat orders. They don't want to stand on the Hearthblades anymore. It looks like Manfred's moving in. Goes for a rear breath attack on her. I don't know if he canceled it in time. He did. He still has his breath attack. Spirit Leech and the Blood Knights and Manfred are all after Mother Ostankia. They're really trying to finish her off. Manfred lands. Buyer Blood is proc, but one more hit and she is dead, which is probably the nail in the coffin for the Kislevites. Kislevite Warriors, one is shattered, the other two are routing, which leaves just our 3 Zargard as their infantry. And those guys are also not looking too good. The Double Banshee still doing just fine. The Corpse Cart with the Balefire giving everybody magic attacks and fire damage. That was the other thing I was trying to think of. Fire damage, AoE from the Corpse Carts does reduce the Patriarch's healing and the Goliath's healing. Manfred's flying overhead, wondering what he should do with his time. Not entirely sure just yet. He's going to do a point-blank breath attack down onto the Heart of Winter. Solid damage considering its massive HP pool. Ignoring the Patriarch, ignoring the Skirmish Cav for now. Knows that they'll have to be dealt with later, but he still has a good amount of zombies. Good amount of skeletons. And the Blood Knights are just going to chase after these guys. And they do get their Flag of Blood keep, so 20% more missile resistance on top of their armor and bronze shields whenever they're not in melee. So either they've caught you and they're going to start killing you, or they haven't caught you and you do less damage. Pretty good win for them. Frozen Heart of Winter fades away. As one last heal comes out from, I thought, the Patriarch. Yep, he's trying to heal up Daz's Hearthblades. Frozen Heart of Winter's gone. Most of the Kislevites are gone. And that's GG. What up, Trogdor? Pope Patty, you're disappointed your day is ruined. I am sorry. Have we had corn yet? No. No corn yet. But we did have a lot of Tomb Kings. Manfred cycle charges back in, takes out the Patriarch. Daz's Hearthblades are crazy low on HP, and it does look like Army Loss is about to proc. When you see these full health Skirmish Cav get their By Our Bloods popped, you know Army Loss is hit. Just a quick tip for any of you Kislevite watchers out there who don't understand. You're like, I thought Army Loss is popped, yet everybody has full HP bars. That's called By Our Blood, and a lot of people hate it. Looks like he's just going to throw in the towel, though. Recognizes it's over, and the Germans are back in it. 1-1. Salinator with a clinical game. Very good job dismantling that blob. Proud of him. How did this zombie get 1 kill without getting any gold value? Riddle me that, Spider-Man. Since it was a blob, the Blood Knights and the Dire Pack didn't get too much value. It was mostly on Manfred and the Banshees. On the other side for green, well, the Rostankia did okay. Patriarch did not get a lot of value, though he's meant to just heal. Zargard got mostly crushed except for the Daz's Hearthblades. Skirmish Cav did well, and the Frozen Heart of Winter did okay. GG. Let's go back to this thing. Bam, bam. So I'm still in the red. I will cross out the green one first, switch over to the green, and give Salinator his check mark. 1-1 as we get on to domination. Catholic Alcoholic versus the man himself, Icity. Entic Icity. Oh boy. Catholic Alcoholic versus Anticity. Catholic on the High Elves versus Anticity's Warriors of Chaos. All right, Catholic Alcoholic starting off with Sea Lord Acelin. My water is all gone. Damn it. All right, for the High Elf starting roster, we have White Lines of Craze, some Spearmen, Oceanids, a Lore Master of Hoeth with Earthblood and Melkoth Mystifying Miasma, 1 Archer, and the Sea Lord himself with Naval Discipline and the Sapphire Guardian Phoenix. He does not have the range buff. On the other side for Anticity, we have the Dreadmaw, Scourge of the multiplayer world for a time. Has been limited in tournaments to 1 instead of 2. Then we have Marauder Horsemen and Horse Master, so a heavy skirmish core from Anticity, and then Archaon the Everchosen with just Searing Doom, some Chaos Trolls, and Aspiring Champions. Anticity went with a very expensive frontline. Archaon, Dreadmaw, all that stuff. As the High Elves went pretty expensive, but a little more capture presence early on. They summon in the Storm Riders nice and quick, but the Dreadmaw quickly pops up, gets some damage in them, then pops up again, gets more explosions, and goes back underground, because the Dreadmaw is a fun and interactive unit that everybody enjoys. So, Anticity's plan is just to get a bunch of damage value out in the early game, and then probably summon up more melee units and slowly push up after a while, as he also summons a Hell Cannon. So yeah, he's pretty committed to not contesting the points for a bit. He's just going to go for damage in the early game. And the High Elves need to like triple cap and punish this. They need to get as many points as they can early on. I feel like we've seen Sea Lord several times in this tourney and Dom. Is he good here? I don't know. I don't know why people are picking him so much. I feel like he's decidedly mid, but I still feel like there's a lot better Lords than Dr. Acelin. Lord Master of Hoeth eating a bunch of spears before he gets run over by Skirmish Cav, and Anticity's... yeah, he's just going for a bit of poke. I was like, is he seriously trying to outcap these infantry that are standing right here? That doesn't seem like that's going to work. Searing Doom down onto the archers that are contesting Anticity's skirmish, and the Dreadmaw once again pops up in different archers. Sea Lord lands on him, is going to get some damage out, but I imagine this guy's about to go underground any second now. And just leave High Elf feeling foolish. Lore Master of Hoeth does need to throw an Earthblood on himself soon, as the Dreadmaw does indeed go back underground. Anticity's just skirmishing and bombing away, man. Melkoth's and Archer Fire trying to deter the skirmish cav, but it's not doing too much just yet. Anticity is starting to summon in some Hellstriders. Really surprised how long he's delaying summoning in any infantry. One of the archers is already routing. White Lions of Krace also thinking about getting out of here. Anticity's skirmish forces have taken some damage, but definitely overall getting the better of it. And Anticity already summoned some Hellstriders that are positioning themselves to be able to swoop into the back and nab up anybody who is retreating. Anticity is actually starting to capture the point away from the High Elves with his skirmish cav and Archaon. High Elves do need to move up some forces, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do that just yet, as the Dreadmaw again pops up and the Star Dragon is quick to jump on it. Looks like Sea Lord is just following this thing around and trying to force it down whenever he can. Silverhelms get stuck fighting Hellstriders. They should be able to win that fight specifically, but they were trying to opt out of it because of the nearby Chaos Trolls and Aspiring Champions. So now they've been rear charged for free, and that does mean they're losing it, as the Dreadmaw just teleports away from the Star Dragon, disrupting more archers once again. And this is looking to be a masterclass from Anticity on how to make the Warriors of Chaos look overpowered. Holy smokes. He's almost recaptured point 2. His skirmish cav are all still doing good damage. The Dreadmaw is unstoppable even when you have a Star Dragon chasing them around. And he's even winning the cav engagements on the side. Now, in the forest, there was one Hellstrider that overextended. Nice catch here from Catholic Alcoholic as Silverhelms slam into them and are going to rout them shortly. And other Silverhelms have also spawned, but the Dreadmaw is still just lurking. As this could be a good play. Searing Doom is going to do a lot of damage to the Oceanids. Not as much as I thought, actually, so that's fine. But anyway, Lore Master of Hoeth, Oceanids, and Sea Lord all hitting Archaon, who has no healing. So that damage sticks, and he's pretty expensive. Still, Anticity has a gold damage value lead. I guess the High Elves do have a 2-to-1 capture point lead, so maybe not all is lost yet. Some of the most cost-effective skirmishers in the game, yeah. Marauder Horse Masters have always been really, really good. The Hell Cannon continues to fire unimpeded, as Forsaken are also being summoned in now. Overcasted Searing Doom from Archaon. I generally am an overcasted Searing Doom hater. It catches some Silverhelms, does some damage, but I generally prefer the undercasted variant for multiple reasons. Silverhelms charge into Hellstriders. Looks like they did have attack orders, so those guys will be taken out, and other Silverhelms also charge in. Dreadmaw is going to take a little bit of damage. Only 34 melee defense, not that high of armor. Silverhelms can get some damage on him, but the High Elves have seemed to have given up on the punish the Dreadmaw strategy, and they're starting to just be the accept the Dreadmaw strategy. They'll do damage to it where it happens to be, but Aeslann's not going to stay in the sky ignoring the battle anymore just to poke it when it shows up. Anticity Skirmishers standing on top of White Lions of Krace while getting hit with a Melkoth. It's definitely a little bit of a mistake. We'll see how long he lets that happen. Not too long. He's just going to push through them and they'll actually rout. Lore Master of Hoeth dueling with Archaon, taking the worst of it, but the Lore Master, if he survives this encounter, does have Earthblood he can just spam on himself and others to feel better. And the Star Dragon taken in the skies immediately forces Archaon to run away. Anticity still unable to take back that second point. He's not in a rush just yet, but time is starting to creep forward, and we're starting to get past the point where it's okay to give up points for free. So you can see he's just constantly harassing, though. Like, as soon as the High Elves think about disengaging from point 2, he immediately clumps his skirmish cav up there and starts recapturing it, just forcing the High Elves to respond. Again, the Dreadmaw is under attack, and again, the Dreadmaw tries to go underground. It looks like that was just an attack animation. It wasn't actually retreating. Now it's retreating, while completely surrounded by the enemy, because the Dreadmaw is fair and balanced. Gotta hate that unit. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Codex said great stream. Why aren't you in my stream right now? What a nerd. All right. I didn't want to miss too much, but I did have to respond to his blasphemies. Anticity Skirmish Cav are running very low on ammunition, and several of them are quite low on HP. For Catholic Alcoholic, he does have still a full health Star Dragon, which is not something to be scoffed at. The Warriors of Chaos have managed to double cap, and it looks like they're even going to triple cap, though, which is a pretty big problem for the High Elves. They're going to have to remedy that somehow. Intensity is up on value, though a lot of his units that are left behind are quite useless without ammunition. The Hell Cannon's nearly useless. The 3 super wounded Skirmish Cav nearly useless. So there's that. I do think Anticity is feeling decent about his position, but Catholic's not out of it. He's been doing some decent trading, as the Lord Master of Hoeth is grinding with some Forsaken, though we do have a nasty Searing Doom coming in to finish off Silver Helms. Never mind. Catholic is on top of it. Good dodge, though Hellstriders are quick to pounce on those retreating High Elves. Anticity still manages the double cap because the High Elves took his point 1 when he took their point 3. Good little trade back and forth. The Hell Cannon continues to fire in on Silver and Guard. The High Elves are starting to feel a little too elite, though. They're having a hard time moving around the map since they have elite Silver and Guard, Silver Helms, Sea Lord. All this stuff costs a lot of money, while Intensiti's cheap garbage just sprints around the map and goes where he isn't. Look at this unwashed horde of horsemen. Look at this. Look at all these things. Shouldn't they be meta bullshitting those horsemen into his aircraft carrier, whatever the fuck those units come from, his weird-ass pen? Oh, you're talking about resummoning his horsemen with more ammunition. Yeah, maybe. As the Hell Cannon unsummons, the Dreadmaw is back with more ammunition. It's just going to fire at what it can. Looks like Anticity is about to triple cap. He has a 5,000 damage value lead according to the side thing. And I would agree, as you look over the course of the map, that's a lot of red banners and not a lot of green ones. The Sea Lord has been the saving grace of the High Elves this whole time. He's stayed pretty healthy and stuff, but now he is completely swamped in enemy horsemen. Archaon is also hunting him down, and that's just going to be GG. It was a good attempt, but Anticity's all horsemen all day did prevail. Yeah, even his backup is mostly horsemen. He had 3 Forsaken and 1 Aspiring Champion as all of his infantry. All right, France is up. France is up. 2-1. Germany's got to mount the comeback. They got to do it. Melkor and the Phoenix King both need to win. Otherwise, the French will be unstoppable. Unstoppable. And I'm out of water, which is bumming me out. I don't like being out of water. It's sad. All right, Melkor is playing some Bretonnia versus Ash's Dark Elves. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hit start. I'm going to pop you over to the game. I'm going to pop over to the game, and then I'm going to run and get water real quick before anything happens. Be right back. All right, what happened? What happened? What's going on? Okay, here we go. So for Melkor, if you want the final game to be the decider, you are rooting for the Bretonnians and Melkor. Melkor's Alberic de Bordelot in the sky on his Hippogriff mount. According to Blood Penguin, who I trust with my life, he says Alberic is the most OP Broken Lord on the Bretonnian roster. And mostly due to his Braid of Bordelot. Plus 12 bonus versus large just constantly around him is very, very nice. Other than that, it is a horde of peasants going with, again, that strategy we've mentioned a couple times today. Factions that have slow basic infantry that have a hard time reinforcing do like to tend to start with a lot of them so they can get into position and then summon faster units like Bretonnian Knights to support later on. So a lot of peasant mobs, spearmen at arms, regular men at arms, and then peasant bowmen. And we do have one blessed field trebuchet and the Green Knight as well. Pretty expensive single entities. No caster, so he is going to have to summon a damsel a little bit later on. I imagine it'll be a foot damsel, nice and cheap and easy to get into the battle. On the other side for the Dark Elves and Ash, High Beastmaster on his Scourge Runner Chariot, Sorceress of Shadows with Melkos Mystifying Miasma, then some Knights of the Ebon Claw, Harganeth Executioners, 3 of them, and Witch Elves. I think I mentioned the Shadows Caster and then Coldwind Knights and Doomfire Warlocks. So while the Bretonnians have a Donkey Kong amount of cheap peasants, the Dark Elves went for elite. As we have Harganeth Executioners killing peasant mobs, maybe the most one-sided thing I have ever seen. Look at these poor peasants. He raises his shovel and just gets massacred. Dark Elves take the central point, and they will push the Bretonnians back with their better infantry. It'll be very hard for Bretonnia to push forward. And they take point 3 as well. Now Bretonnia obviously has mass, like just so many unwashed infantry that the Dark Elves have to eventually kill, and their archers are doing really good damage onto the Witch Elves. The Blessed Field Trebuchets is doing solidly onto the Harganeth Executioners, but the real winners of Bretonnia are their Knights. Those guys are back in action, charging into Coldwind Knights with the aid of Alberic de Bordelot. A Soul Blight is down, but still going to be a pretty good fight for the Knights of the Realm, with their bonus versus large getting buffed even further by Alberic. Knights of the Ebon Claw versus other Knights of the Realm. Green Knight charging into the back. He is netted in place, however, by the High Beastmaster, and Alberic throws his trident down to try and help out that fight a little bit. Doomfire Warlocks bypass both of the cav fights going on and is going to sprint straight for the Field Trebuchets to try and spare their Harganeth Executioners all the damage that is coming from those blessed bolts. But another Knight Errant summon is out. These are not Knights of the Realm. They don't do nearly as much damage because they are lacking a bonus versus large, but he needed something cheap. He needed something now to save his Trebuchet, so very good summon there from the Bretonnians. Ash 100% sold it. Blood Penguin is so right. Alberic's the best lord in the game. Damn! Doom Sage, I'm going to assume that you're just being a silly shenanigaggle, and I don't actually have to worry about my stream crashing. Silly. Doomfire Warlocks are actually slowly losing to the Knights Errant, and Alberic and his boys cleaned up back here, so pretty bad time for the Dark Elves as they just get swamped in the backfield. Meanwhile, in the front, oh, peasant murder. Oh, peasant murder. Harganeth Executioners still going really crazy in the lines of these peasants. They just don't give a single shit, massacring all the peasants they can get their hands on. The Bretonnians are barely even hurting them without their archers, and Dark Riders also swipe through. So while Melkor is up on damage value, his peasant lines are completely crushed. They're just getting pushed back in every direction. And even more Coldwind Knights are coming over, so the Dark Elves actually might secure a triple cap while losing a lot of their expensive pieces. Alberic lands in on some Dread Spears, trying to help out with that. We do have Knights of the Realm charging forward to help him out, but yeah, ooh, big pick in the background, actually. Sorceress of Shadows killed off by the Green Knight. Damn. Like, the Dark Elves just keep losing expensive, important things, but their Harganeth Executioners are making up all the difference in ridiculous amounts of murder. Just so much murder. They have like 200 kills apiece already. Oh, it's disgusting. So things don't look great for Bretonnia on the battlefield because so many of their health bars are tanking, but like the stuff that actually matters, the Green Knight and Alberic are both still very healthy, whereas a lot of the stuff that matters for the Dark Elves is already dead and gone. I do wonder when we'll see the Bretonnian caster get summoned, because I feel like it's been quite a while without having a caster. There she is, this Damsel of Life with Flesh to Stone and Earthblood. So she is actually going to try and spam out cheap spells to heal her whole army, which is interesting. Does immediately chuck it onto these Questing Knights. Oh, I didn't see that Questing Knights were summoned. They pair well with Alberic because he can give them bonus versus large, which helps their kind of middling stats, but then they have armor piercing, which the Knights of the Realm obviously don't. Green Knight gonna hold position while the Questing Knights run away, and the Questing Knights are gonna rear charge some Dread Spears, it looks like, just because they really need to stop this from happening. The Dread Spears are out capturing the Spearmen at Arms because they suck, and Bretonnia can't afford to get triple capped right now. It's pretty bad. because you can see how much of a hard time they're having gaining ground. They're value trading amazingly all over the place, but they're losing ground. They're getting pushed further and further into their spawn while they kill everything. So it just feels really bad. They can't allow the Dark Elves to triple cap them right now. Alberic's still going for more sniping. And Ashe has caught up on value. Earlier he had a 3,000 deficit. Now he's only 1,500 behind. Kind of reminds me of the Tomb Kings mirror match we had earlier, where the Tomb Kings just kept summoning in skeletons. And the other guy was killing them as fast as he could. It's like that, where the Bretonnia had a crazy value lead, but they're losing ground, similar to Cetra versus all those skeletons. But unlike that game, the Hargath Executioners have done really good work in trying to bring Ashe back. 300 kills on this one. Where's that other one? 350 on that. 350 on the other one, yeah. And it is peasants. I'm not trying to say there's a ton of value, but he's just taking so much off the board, so much capture weight off the board, that Bretonnia is having a hard time getting their feet under them. Hargath Executioner's starting to run out of gas, though. One of them is nearly dead. It's routing, but it's so close to dead it doesn't really matter. Another one is just below half HP, and another one is a little around a third HP, a little more than that. Meanwhile, we have Questing Knights fighting Cold One Knights. The Questing Knights are buffed up. I think I saw Flesh to Stone for a while there, as the Blessed Field Trebuchet crew was trying to get back online. High Beastmaster and Hargath Executioners have something to say, as they're going to come over and say hello. Melkor needs to figure out what to summon. He kind of seems to want some infantry to capture some points again, but also all of his infantry just keep getting massacred, so maybe he wants some more knights to help him out. Questing Knights paired up with the Green Knight versus Cold One Knights and Doomfire Warlocks. I feel like the Green Knight is a little outclassed here because his support is so injured, but with Alberic nearby, the Questing Knights are pretty difficult to dislodge. More leadership, more damage. And the Doomfire Warlocks are not wrapping around, which is a pretty big difference maker in this fight. So now the Cold Knights are in real trouble. Previously, I thought there would be a Doomfire Warlock flank, but that does not seem to be the case. We have Companions of Quenelles, Questing Knight, Regiment of Renown. Some more Questing Knights getting prioritized. Doesn't want to summon Grail Knights, but also needs some armor piercing for those Cold One Knights. And formation got a bit wonky there with the Questing Knights. They, for some reason, ended up going into line formation for just a second. That allowed the Cold One Knights to catch up, which is pretty brutal. Other Questing Knights and the Spearman Arms about to retreat, leaving Alberic and the Green Knight all alone versus the Cold Ones. But big cab engagement. Doomfire Warlocks pin in the regular Questing Knights so that the Cold Knights get a rear charge on them. But now the Companions of Quenelles are here, and Tormentor's Sword nets them in place just as they're about to complete the charge, leaving the other Questing Knights up a creek without a paddle. And now the Companions opt in. Now Alberic is here, but it's too late to save those Questing Knights. It's too late to even do much for the Green Knight. Bretonnia still barely holding their own point as Dreadspears continue to threaten it, with the Damsel's capture weight also helping out a bit. Hargath Executioners still swamping over the Trebuchets that are somehow firing right now, as the Hargath Executioners get dragged away to chase after Men-at-Arms and not shut down the Field Trebuchets, which are currently still firing in. What a chaotic game. Ashe has now taken the lead on damage value, which is pretty bad for Bretonnia. Flesh of Stone overcast on the Companions of Quenelles, trying to make them invincible as they churn through infinite amounts of enemy cavalry. Hargath Executioners coming in hot with their high stats and good armor piercing. People are mentioning in the chat they're not Blackguard because they don't have bonus versus large, but their melee attack is so high anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's just their amazing weapon strength is all you really want out of them. Bound Doombolts keep hitting Alberic in the head from the Doomfire Warlocks that are nearby. And I now have a ringing in my ear that is very distracting. Is it tinnitus? Mop. Mop. Hargath Executioners remembered their sacred duty, and they are now murdering the Blessed Field Trebuchet crews as the Bretonnians clean up the last of the Dark Elves. Both sides seem to be pretty well attritioned out, as we have spent most of our funds, and the health bars on the battlefield are getting less and less numerous. Green Knight still scrapping it out. Doomfire Warlocks are the bane of his existence. They do magic damage, bypassing his impressive physical resistance. I suppose he has some ward save in there as well. Bretonnia still holds that back point, though Cold One Knights and the Lord are going to shatter them quickly and retake that back point. Remember, if you're hoping the last game is what this comes down to, if you want an epic finale where no one knows the outcome, you're rooting for the Bretonnians to somehow come back in this. Pope Patty doesn't know why he's not sicking the Green Knight on the enemy lord. It's because you're too much of a noob to understand, Pope Patty. No, I don't know. I don't know, bro. The Bretonnians finally capture point 2. It's going to be theirs. And they still currently technically hold point 1. They are already at the point, though, where it looks like they need a triple cap to win. We'll see. That's looking difficult to come by because the Dark Elves aren't that beaten yet. They still have enough presence to at least maintain a foothold on the map. Companions of Quinel's are going to charge in Doomfire Warlocks, who are just going to try and kite away. And now your companions are overextended. You have to fight a full health Cold Knight, a full health Witch Elf, while on top of spears and getting hit with Doomfire Warlocks. It's too much. It's too much. Melkor throws in the towel. Green Knight and Alberic did well. Peasants just got fucking murdered. Just died. Oh, their questing knights were summoned in to do some work. They did okay. Mostly the Knights Errant did well. Knights of the Realm did fine. On the other side for Ash, Harganeth Executioners, really good job. Not a ton of value. Like, they paid for themselves, don't get me wrong. But for how much I was singing their praises, you'd think they get like thousands and thousands and thousands of value. But just absolutely shattering Bretonnia's battlefield presence and ability to take points was huge. So great job to the Harganeth Executioners. If all you care about is who technically wins and who technically loses, then I guess you can leave the stream now, because that will be a 3-1 to France at least. Will be a 4-1 or a 3-2. We'll find out in Phoenix King versus Tretch. But technically, Germany cannot win at this point. Technically. But we are going to cast the last game anyway. Might as well stick around. Might as well see it through to the end. Final game for the Germans. The Phoenix King versus Tretch. We have more Dark Elves, this time on the German side, versus the Vampire Coast of the French. The French winning by beating their fantasy counterparts. So true, brother, so true. All right, for the Phoenix King and his Dark Elves, Witch Elf frontline, backed up by Bleak Swords and Dark Shards, a ton of them. Supreme Sorceress of Fire with Flaming Sword of Runa and Burning Head. 3 Harpies, 2 Cold Knights, 2 Dark Riders. Very straightforward build. Archers and Witch Elves and Light Cav. On the other side for the Vampire Coast, we see the increasingly popular Peg Leg Noctilus instead of Foot Noctilus. Gonna fire away at cavalry and do some decent damage to them as he goes on. We have the Drowned Dead summon an Invocation of Heck, a Gunnery Wight with Scabscraft and more ammo for Noctilus, then a front line of zombie deckhands mobs. They're all gonna die horrible deaths to Witch Elves, and then a bunch of handgunners, Sirens, Dogs, and Animated Hulks. We also do have the Lampert's Revenge. So, yeah. That specific one was the Austrians. Gotcha. Understood. Bretonnia is meant to be medieval English, not French. Explain their accents, Pope Patty. Oh, I will go to fight the Englishmen. I mean the Norskins. Oh, a knight of Bretonnia never is not a knight. Oh. Sir, is that a lance or a baguette? Well, not both. They're French. They're French. Get him out of here. Get him out. French-speaking lords, English-speaking peasants. Pope Patty, you know what? You win. You won. You won me over. They're the English. Holy shit. I've never been so easily pwned in my entire life. Yeah, Pope Patty, you got me. You got me. You don't have to keep explaining it. There's just a stream delay. There's a stream delay. I admitted defeat. Witch Elves are about to reach the front line. They will massacre the deckhands mobs so fast it'll make your head spin, especially if they pop their Witch's Brew as they get here. Dark Shards are eager to get their hands on some handgunners, and Yeah, it's more of on the Vampire Coast to disrupt the frontline fight somehow and delay it, because if they just take this honorably, the Dark Elves will win. Like, their melee troops are better, their ranged troops are suited well to fight the Vampire Coast, so they need to have some clever summons, some clever dog flanks, other things like that, otherwise they're just going to lose. Noctilus is easily pushed back by the Dark Shards. There goes some of those summons we're talking about. Pistols firing point-blank range into Dark Shards. Another summon is just harassing the Dark Shards, and that's exactly what you got to do to try and change the game and give yourself some time to win. Lamprey's Revenge are doing well against Colder Knights, so they hold them in place. Harpies on the backfield trying to harass handgunners, also getting intercepted by dogs. Sirens break through the front line. They can easily harass these Dark Shards. I wonder if there'll be a Burning Head in their near future that can actually take them out super quickly. After they make melee contact, they'll clump up nicely, and then a Burning Head down the side can do a lot of damage to them. But we'll see if that's what the Phoenix King wants to do, as Witch Elves are pushed away by animated hulks and deckhand mobs. And there is the Murderous Prowess. There's the Burning Head we predicted, so it is actually just going to go straight through the Sirens. He needs to dodge his own damage a little bit, but half health off the Sirens is not nothing. And does the Burning Head betray the Dark Elves in the end? Might hit them in the bum-bum. Does it hit them in the bum-bum? No! It's a very good Burning Head. Curves right through the Vampire Coast. Doesn't touch the Witch Elves. You'll love to see it. So the Vampire Coast are handling this early game very well indeed. They've harassed the Dark Shards back and back and back. They're not able to stand and fire, and even shattered those Dark Shards over there from the pistol summons, and I imagine Noctilus had some Overwatch fire or something to do with it. Lamprey's Revenge are nearly entirely taken out by the Dark Elves. It looks like they will be killed off from this point unless Noctilus has some invocation of the Hex for them, because they're going to crumble faster than they'll regenerate. What do the Dark Elves still have in this game? Still have light cavalry, still have technically infantry superiority here and there, because Noctilus does have some summons that are making this look a little artificial. And Noctilus gets a nasty shot on some Dark Shards, which have rallied, and they do need to refocus up. Nice Burning Head through a handgunner mob to get rid of them. Animated Hulks gonna fade away as the zombie deckhands mobs that are beneath them did as well. Bounce power is crazy far against the Dark Elves. But they're going to try and scrap it back. Those Sirens are very real, though, and while I say summons here, summons there, summons everywhere, those are not summons. They're going to keep chasing you down. They're going to keep killing you. Scurvy Dogs are now in the backfield, cleaning up any of the Dark Shards that have previously routed, so they're nice and low on HP, so even the worst dog in the entire game, looking at you, Scurvy Dogs, you pieces of shit, can still finish those wounded of archers. And these Dark Shards are trying to return to the fight, but the Sirens are hot on their tail, and they do have, they don't have Frostbite, do they? No, they don't. Okay, I was going to say they have Frostbite, so once they catch you, you're not getting away, but they're one of the few ghosts that don't have Frostbite. Bounce power is kind of stabilized at this really, really bad, but not over yet point. It does look like Noctilus used a Invocation Hack on the Lamprey's Revenge. They've healed too much in the amount of time I haven't been looking at them for that to just be regeneration, and there's another Invocation Hack as if to prove my point. Dark Elves still just trying to clean up the battlefield a little bit and simplify things. They're doing their best just to keep the balance of power from calling the game on them before it's over. I am very concerned how you're going to kill Noctilus when he can heal himself and he has Lamprey's Revenge, and you don't have any Dark Shards, though. I don't see the melee chops here that can kill the Lamprey's Revenge and Noctilus, so I'm feeling pretty bleak on them. And that's going to be GG. That's GG for the Phoenix King versus Tretch. Really good summons usage, really good patience with the dogs. Both helped Tretch quite a lot. Cold Knights and Harpies struggled a little bit. On the other side for Tretch, Noctilus did well. Gunnery White did fine. Sirens chased 2 Dark Shards to the ends of the earth, and the handgun mobs paid for themselves with gusto. GG's, friends. GG's. So let's take you back over here to the Photoshop real quick. Give Tretch a W. And give Phoenix King and an L. Take us to the World Cup. Germany versus France. Germany gets a point. So we'll give France that point, Germany that point, and then 3 more for France. And it's funny that at the start of the stream, we just talked about how every series we had cast was all 5 games, like a 3-2, and then we got 2 4-1s today. So that's kind of funny. That's just how the cookie crumbles. For the first round, we still have USA 3 versus France 2. We have the Balkan Confederation versus Clan VM. And then at the top, we do have USA 2 versus Visegrad after Visegrad prevailed in like a weird extra round we had because we had 17 teams. So we get on to the quarterfinals. The quarterfinals are all currently underway except for this one. My team did just finish up today versus Visegrad. So whoever wins this one has to go on to fight USA 4, but the other ones are all in progress, and some of them are even done. Cool, cool. So yeah, we'll keep streaming. I have family coming up tomorrow for Easter, so probably not a stream tomorrow, but I'm hoping for at least 3 or 4 more streams next week throughout the week. So we'll keep plugging away at it, but there's really no rush. Since the tournament structure is cut in half every round, right? It's like there's 8 matchups, then 4, then 2, then 1, and each of these takes a week. We will fall behind at the start where it's like, it'll probably take me 2 weeks to cast all these games, as you can see. But then it'll only take me 1 week to cast this, and it'll only take me like 1 week to cast all of this. So we'll get there. All right, that's it for today. Later, Gators.